It is so much harder to change other people. So instead of trying to spend so much of your energy trying to get people to see things from your perspective, trying to get people to treat you better, trying to get people to show up for you in ways that you would show up for them, instead of trying to change people, what if you just change you? What if you change the things that you tolerate? What if you change your standards? What if you change your boundaries? What if you change the way you see yourself? So that way you can attract people who you don't feel the need to change because they've changed who they are. So they have become better people. So now they can be good people to you because they're good to themselves. I think we spend entirely way too much energy and time trying to change other people. You guys, the truth is, most people aren't going to change. Most people won't change because change is hard. It is so much easier to stay the same and just find people who will accept you for you than to change the things that are wrong with you. Most people won't change until the pain of change outweighs the pain of staying the same. See, a lot of times people have people around them who enable their behavior, right? So that's why they don't feel the need to change. Maybe they have family who will always give them things so they don't need to provide for themselves because they can just call their mom or they can just call their dad and get money or whatever they need. So there's no reason for them to change. There's no reason for them to go out and hustle and get their own money because they have someone else who gives it to them. Maybe they don't need to change their temper, right? Maybe they have friends who allow them to curse them out, who allow them to call them names, and so there's no desire to change because they have people around them enabling the behavior. But instead of you trying to change that person and the things that you don't like about them, why don't you just change you? Change what you tolerate. Why do you tolerate people who treat you like crap? Ask yourself that. Why do you tolerate people who never reciprocate love back to you? Ask yourself that. Why do you put up with it? It is so much easier for you to change you. Start having boundaries, start having standards, start standing on business. If someone's not treating you the way in which you desire to be treated, instead of trying to change them, just change you, stop tolerating it, and find people who you don't feel the need to change because they show up for you in the way in which you deserve. The time and the energy that you spend trying to get someone to see things from your perspective time and time and time and time and time again, that is energy that you could be putting into you. That's energy that you could be focusing on a business or focusing on your weight loss or focusing on going back to school or focusing on, I don't know, saving money. There's just so many things that you could be spending your energy on. But you would rather try to change someone else because you don't want to change you. Because like I said, it's hard to change you. So you would rather make someone else your project instead of you just making yourself your project and changing you. You would rather try to beat a dead horse than to just change who you are. Because one thing I had to realize is the reason why we tolerate people who may not be the best people to tolerate is because that's what we think we deserve. I know that sounds harsh sometimes, but that's the truth. There's something about you that thinks that you can't do better. You lack confidence, you lack self-respect, you lack self-love, right? People will say that they love themselves, but you can always tell whether or not that's true just based off of the people that they allow into their lives. If you have people in your life who curse you out, who call you names, who make you feel less than, who are always yelling at you, who just disrespect you, you don't really love yourself. You say you do because it sounds good, but deep down inside you don't. Because if you really did, you wouldn't even be tolerating that in the first place. But it's easier for you to continue to tell people, hey, I don't like it when you do this. Can you please stop treating me like this? Can you please just see it from this perspective? It's easier for you to try to change them than it is for you to change you. Instead of going to counseling, instead of healing, instead of doing the inner work, instead of getting real with yourself, you would rather try to change the person that's treating you the way in which you don't want to be treated. You don't have to stay in those type of relationships. If someone's not showing up for you in the way in which you want to be shown up for, just stop dealing with them. But I think sometimes the reason why we refuse to stop dealing with them is because we fear being alone. We fear feeling like we failed at friendship or relationship, whatever it is. I know for myself, I'll speak for myself. I used to struggle with just being by myself. I used to struggle with validating myself and feeling enough for me. And so I would seek external validation from others. I would always need friends. And I never had boundaries. I used to let people walk all over me. I used to be a people pleaser. I used to really care about the opinions of other people because I just didn't know how to validate myself. I didn't know how to sit with self and be comfortable with self, right? And so, especially in people pleasing, you'll end up doing things for people that you don't really want to do, but you want to show people, you want to prove to people that you're a good person, that you can be a good friend to them, right? And in that process, I would find myself feeling resentment because I'm like, oh, I'm doing this for her, but she can't do this for me, right? I started to resent these people. But I had to look within myself and recognize, hey, you don't have to keep tolerating that. If you don't like the way she makes you feel, if you feel like you're doing more giving than receiving, you're allowed to walk away. You don't have to keep putting up with that. But the reason why I was so afraid to walk away from those friendships that weren't really friendships in the first place was because then that means I would have to be by myself. And I was so afraid of being by myself. So I would tolerate things that I didn't really want to tolerate to avoid being by myself. But I got to a point where I'm like, hey, I already don't like how I feel in these friendships. So is being by myself going to be any worse than how I already feel? Most of the time, the answer is no. That's what I'm saying. You're holding on to this fear and you're afraid of being by yourself. You're afraid of finding new people to associate with. But the way that they treat you, that doesn't make you feel good either. So again, you have a choice. What do you choose? Do you choose to continue to be around people who you don't feel like respect you versus in just being by yourself and then finding people later who pour into you the way that you can pour into others? So I had to ask myself, is being by myself going to be any worse than how I already feel? And the answer was no. But see, that's easy. Or excuse me, that was what was hard. What's hard is trying to control other people, trying to change other people instead of just change yourself. But once you realize that you can change yourself and it's actually easier to change yourself than it is to change someone else, well, then life becomes more peaceful. Now you're not subjecting yourself to friendship dynamics that make you feel like shit. If someone's not treating you the way that you want to be treated, then leave. Stop hanging out with them. Stop pouring into them. Stop doing things for them. You're not going to change them. And 9 times out of 10, that's how they treat everybody. It's not just you. Okay, that's something else I failed to realize. You know, I used to take things so personally, and I'd be like, well, why are they doing that to me? Why are they treating me like this? Why are they talking to me like this? You guys, they talk to everybody like that. This goes back to what I said with a lot of times people just have enablers in their life, whether it's family or other friends. And so, again, they don't feel the need to change because they have people in their life who enable the behavior in the first place. Maybe their parents allow them to yell at them, right? And they still can get things out of their parents. You'd be surprised at how many people do that to their own family. So why would they change for you? They're not. They're not. The way they treat you is not exclusive to you. That's how they treat everybody. you just choose to tolerate it. So instead of you giving all of this energy into trying to change someone else, just change you. Change what you accept. Change your boundaries. Maybe you need to get some boundaries because you don't have any. I know I didn't. Maybe you need to change the way you see yourself. Change the way you love yourself. Change the way you show up for you, because I promise you, when you start changing you, you will stop tolerating BS from other people because you no longer tolerate that for yourself. And I'm telling you, there's so much peace in changing you and becoming the version of you that you've always wanted to be, that when you do finally get to that destination of change, you end up attracting people into your life who show up for you in ways in which you never thought anyone would show up for you. All because you focused on changing you, not someone else. Leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. I can't wait to read what you guys have to say. Also, you guys, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And don't forget to join the Patreon. The link is down below in my description. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.